Marcus, go ahead and ask the first question.
Hi, I'm Marcus. I'm an assistant professor at Sam Houston State. I'm also a Trinity alum and a Spurs fan, so I'm glad to see you here, Josie. We're totally going to win again. My question is actually for fellow Longhorn Danielle. I teach headline writing to undergraduate multimedia journalism students and also to graduate students learning about blogging and sort of broader content production. So my question for you is, how would you encourage teaching, or how would you embrace teaching headline writing? Would you encourage students, journalism or otherwise, to embrace some of these listicles and sensational models? Or would you tell them, you know, as students, you should really backpedal away from that? You know, what would you tell, you know, a 19-year-old learning how to write a headline?
I think a 19-year-old learning how to write a headline has to consider where they're writing the headline for it. I think that's most important. I don't think that personalized listicles appear on the front page of a newspaper, for example. But they probably do and will fit very well on the front page of a news organization website or on a social media campaign. Now, my results are from Facebook, and what we noticed as part of that data is that what's viral on Facebook is hated on Twitter a lot of the times. And so that's why we actually excluded Twitter from the study. So knowing future research and sensationalism and knowing how this works in different platforms will help sort of guide that answer, I think. But I think for Facebook that these are good strategies because it requires a reformatting for these new digital platforms. And even from the website to Facebook in general, it requires a new type of idea or a new type of writing style. So that's what I would think about the platform first. That's how I teach.
Okay,
Thanks.
you. And over here, please.
Hi, this is a question about the Spurs real-time coverage. I can't remember if you mentioned it, but could you go really quick through the main problems the journalists had while covering and trying to, you know, I don't know if the same persons people were updating the blog and tweeting, so just running through that.
Right, because I was seeing the stop signs, so I was really scared, so I didn't get into that. I didn't know they have a stop sign actually here. They have two kind of problems. One is tech glitches. For example, if they're in an area that the internet connection is not so well because they're doing live tweeting, they couldn't send the tweets. So that's one major problem. Another problem is that if they're doing videos, a lot of times the video wouldn't upload through a mobile phone. So the reporter I was with, she had to use her laptop. But other reporters who did not even bring a laptop, you know, if they had a problem, then they're just dead, you know, so they wouldn't be able to send the video. And so that's tech problems. And then they have human errors as well because they're juggling multiple platforms. So you have to send live tweets, and then you have to send the vignettes, and then you have to save some material for the print paper. And so there's one young reporter kind of mixed that up. So she sent the same material to the vignettes for the website. And then the same thing, they sent it to the city desk for the print paper. And therefore, and then the reporter who's writing the long story is actually scanning through the vignettes to pull the best stuff to put in his long story. And so, and therefore, the part that she wrote about was included in the long story. And at the same time, she sent the same material as a standalone piece to the city editor. And so the same material appeared in another standalone piece. And they're just like one page apart in the print paper. So that's like a human error. And it was only seen after the paper was printed. Because they're in like huge rush that night. So both tech and the human errors.
Well, you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and try to get out of here. But I do want you to ask the panelists this in person while they're trying to eat their box lunches, is to think about the issue of how, or the idea that maybe this journalism is what I'm now thinking of as second-person journalism, that it's like this engagement with the reader, whether it's through comments, whether through it's omnipresent journalism, whether it's through this, you know, listicles and sensational, but at the same time, BuzzFeed goes to being more traditional, is backing away. So what is it about hard news that requires distance, especially since we've heard about advocacy journalism and things like that? And what is it about trying to engage readers that that moves away from the hard news model? So we won't discuss it here, because that could be the next 2 hours, but do find them in the hallways and just ask them these questions. And thanks everyone so much for coming to this panel.